Welcome back to the ABL review for Season 18, the East Division. I'm Jeremy Lysak, and let's dive into the games. So, small point of just, administration here. Tyler was not able to coordinate his schedule with Jabron. He willingly took the forfeit, so Jabron gets a win there. Takes him to what, 3-1 on the season? Very impressive. Still got some important games down the line here, but exciting to see someone come into the league and do pretty well in their first time in this. So well done, Jabron. I feel like I'm congratulating you on a forfeit, which is silly, but still, to be at this point in the season, it's pretty impressive. But let's hop into the games. So first thing we got here, we've got Brett taking on Papcoon. First impressions here. Spite Ops came to a game. First game for Spite Ops. I was going through the list of Pokemon that it has gotten to a game before. There's a lot of old gen Pokemon that it now has an appearance, and they don't. Like stuff like Flapple is, not really old gen, but it's the highest ranked non-mega. Like Mega Abomasnow's never been to a battle, Kingler's never been to a battle, but Spite Ops is here. Let's hop into this game here. So, we've got Revroom versus Spite Ops. Leads off with the taunt. I don't understand how Revroom can taunt. It doesn't have fingers to wag at people. Goes for the Bulldoze here. Great, awesome prediction there to grab that. Shut down the Spite Ops. And then hit the incoming Golden Go. That's also an impressive play because, Charizard could have theoretically come in there. Rotom could have come in there. Catching the Golden Go for big damage, that's fantastic. Able to get off another one, live a Shadow Ball, threaten this Golden Go, and then here comes another great play. So, Golden Go, obviously the right play here is to go for a Bulldoze. It's going to hit the Golden Go. But he waits for the Charizard to come in and goes for Parting Shot. If Golden Go had stayed in, that's just a wasted Parting Shot. This Revroom dies to the next attack from Golden Go if he stays in. So, just really good play there. Able to get some momentum. In comes Garganacl. Easy to throw off Assault Cure and chip down this Great Tusk just a little bit. Obviously, there's that 2%, and then in comes the 12% from the Assault Cure. Very impressive. Also, Booster Energy's kind of been wasted here. Because this Great Tusk isn't really going to be able to stay around for too long. That Headlong Rush through the screen does pretty good damage. But Reflect is able to mitigate that quite a bit. Dazzling Gleam comes off, Rotom eats it up. I think I was calculating this live. This Rotom has at least HP. I think it might have some SPDF investment, but that'll come into importance in a calculator. So this is the other great thing about Salt Cure. Does quarter damage to Steel types and Water types. So this Golden Go is on a real short timer. Revroom's able to come in and even live that Make It Rain. And the Golden Go is going to go down here to the Salt Cure. So Brett's in a pretty good position here. One of the big threats on the other team is down, and he's lost quite a bit of HP on his Scream Tail, and this Revroom's almost gone. But he's burned the Booster Energy on Great Tusk. Golden goes out of the fight, and he's in a good spot here. But Revroom's still fast enough to be able to Parting Shot this Great Tusk, bring in Scream Tail, and that's going to allow him to... Does he get up another screen? He does. He puts up the light screen this time. Hard into Brambleghast. Stake out U-turn is no joke. That's Spite Up's first attack in League, and did 74% to a neutral hit. I think that's pretty impressive, all things considered. But Charizard's going to come out. This is where you sack the Revroom. It's just time to let it go down. You can safely get in your... Oh, Roaring Moon, I forgot. So, we get this to pop. I was calculating this live. Because we know this is max HP Rotom, no attack that this Roaring Moon goes for is going to be able to KO the Rotom. So I think Brett had an option here as to whether or not he wanted to waste his Booster Energy and switch out, or risk the Thunder Wave. He chose to risk the because of the light screen, even if he goes for like Blizzard or something, he'll be okay here. The Thunder Wave is going to go off, and really be a bit of a problem. Second Dragon Dance is going to go up. I'm actually surprised that even after being paralyzed in just one Dragon Dance, he was still faster. The Haze coming out. This was an awesome play by Papgoon. I really loved this. It's going to allow his Greninja to live, at least momentarily. But I didn't like how this followed up here. I don't know what the Greninja's, what rest of the move set was. Because I'm surprised it didn't have U-turn or something like that. But the Great Tusk is going to go down, which means it's significantly harder to deal with this Garganacl. So I'm not a big fan of the Great Tusk going down, but here we are. Rodent Frost is going to come in. Okay. Still not a great idea because of something we're going to see here in a little bit. Hits the Blizzard, which is great. And he also, Brett's getting lucky here with not getting parried on any of these turns, but he's able to pick up the KO on Rotom. Roaring Moon, while paralyzed, has gotten 2 KOs, and that's why going into Rotom was a bad idea here. It was relatively, it was healthy enough to still bother the remainder of Brett's team, and you could have just gone into Spidops and gotten a first impression KO. Spidops, its first league appearance, and it got a KO. So yeah, you could have done this a lot sooner. You probably could have even done this after, let's see, is the Volt Switch on this at some point? Yeah, the Volt Switch here. He probably could have done this on turn 19. I think it probably would have KO'd at that point. Maybe I'm wrong. But probably should have done that even over the Haze. Especially, like, I thought the Haze play was great, but still, I think I stand by my decision that you probably should have just first impressioned this right out the gate. Garg's going to come in. Not really too worried about anything that's left here. Saltcare's going to do a big chunk of damage. All he's got to do is like not get Focus Blasted on this turn. That's why he goes to Scream Tail here. Gets cooked with an Overheat. Garg would have easily lived that, but now this Charizard's going to go down there. Gren's going to come in. Breloom can very safely clean up. We got a Mach Punch here, and then followed up with 2 Rock Tombs on the Spidops. The first impression, like, Brett could have... he couldn't have lost at this spot. Could have lost another Pokemon if he missed 2 Rock Tombs, but that would have been that would have been unfair. But also still would have won the battle, which he did win here. Well done, Brett. I don't think Papcoon. Well, he made the big misplay against the Roaring Moon. It cost him basically another 2 Pokemon just to get to that point. But yeah, it also didn't have to sack the Great Tusk. Papcoon made some misplays. He's struggling a little bit more this season than he has in the past, but what's he at standings-wise? Sorry, that's going to look ugly here on the screen. I don't really want to hear it. So, okay, yeah, he's at 1-3. If he wins those, so he only needs to win 1 or 2 more games to give himself a shot at making playoffs. That's the nice thing about this this playoff setup is. So let's see, if he manages to beat Zhang and Connor, and then he's got Tyler at the end of the season, he has theoretical potential to win out. Like the game against Jabron, I don't really remember too much of how that went, but Curtis has been battled real good, and he kind of got pounced on early. You know, just played Brett here. I think he still has he's still got a pretty good shot of getting some wins late in the season. I would say, to be safe, he needs at least 2 more wins. I really think he needs 2 more wins to try to put himself in a postseason slot. And then I think he could probably get up to, theoretically he could get up to 4-3. That probably puts him in, realistically, probably the 5 seed. So he still has to win 2 games to go to playoffs. But, and again, if you guys didn't listen to last week where I explained that in depth, or you stopped listening and you don't know what I'm talking about, ask a friend, because I'm not going to go over it again. But let's head back to the replays. So, here we've got Logan taking on Connor. I think we have... I was going to say... Oh, yeah, this is Colossal. Maybe it came before, but Colossal has never come to a battle before this season anyways, so... This is still its rookie season here, which is fun to see it play out. So let's hop into this one. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because there are some... So Meowscarada goes for the U-turn here, risks a potential Flame Body, but turns out it's not Flame Body, it's Flash Fire. Ditto comes in and copies it. That's a good switch into the Ditto here. A lot of interesting stuff going on with the Ditto in this match. So, goes into Dugtrio as the spikes go up. He switched out. So, I thought, oh my god, what a huge, what a big brain move by Connor to be Shed Tail Ditto, so that way it couldn't get trapped by the Dugtrio. Absolutely brilliant. Round of applause. So good. It's not what happened. Logan, as he's wont to do, he didn't change his abilities. He put in Dugtrio, and it just left it as Sand Veil. So he didn't have Arena Trap. It's something Logan does from time to time. He's known for it. I wouldn't specifically plan for it, but, you know, there's always that hope late games that Logan just messed up his abilities. But getting back into it. Earthquakes this Mismagius, that's embarrassing. Will-O-Wisp here. I don't know if we ever really see if this Hariyama is Guts. Let's see how much this knockoff does. Yeah, that's got to be Guts Hariyama. Okay, so we see the knockoff come out here. That's a Choice Band Ditto. So, we know the Shed Tail's not there, which we kind of already touched on. Choice Band Ditto is really interesting. Now, there's going to be a point in this battle where I can just kind of wax about Ditto for a little bit, so we'll get to it in a second here. But, I don't understand the logic behind Choice Band Ditto, but also the time that I get to talk about Ditto's coming up here, because here it is. So, we've got a Ditto who's copied a boosted Unaware Quagsire. Oh, that apparently wasn't the time. We can talk about it now, though. So, a couple of beautiful things about Ditto, along with the drawbacks. The drawbacks to Ditto are obviously, you don't have a lot of control over the moveset. Your opponent, kind of can tailor a moveset to beat Ditto if they know it's there. Which I think Logan does a good job of in this battle. I'm going to slow this down just a little bit so I can continue to talk. But one of the problems with Ditto, which is also a benefit, is you see on the screen here, all of its moves only have 5 PP when it's transformed. That means if you do get into a match where Ditto is copying a stall Pokemon and it can switch moves, it only has 5 of them. So it will have to struggle sooner. The benefit is Ditto never runs out of PP as long as you can switch. Because you'll see here, he's going to do one more body press, I think. And then now he's out of body presses. So Avalugg is going to burn his 3rd recover here. Yep. But next time Ditto comes in, he's going to have all of his PP back. So that's awesome for him. Avalugg absolutely shuts down this Excalibur, hilariously so. Avalugg's got such a crazy high defense. If you're not hitting it super effective with a strong Pokemon on the physical side, then don't bother. You really need to hit it on the special side or be later in the battle, we'll see Avalugg face off against Ceruledge, and Ceruledge hits it with a super effective hit. If you're not hitting it super effective on the physical side, don't bother. Not worth it. So yeah, nice. Avalugg and Colossal and Quagsire getting a whole lot of play in this one. So Ditto's able to keep getting healthy because it's got recovered. This would have been a week where, honestly, if he had run Shed Tail Ditto, would have been really cool for him. But because he would have received more benefits than he did with that Choice Band, obviously. But it's just, I'm really impressed with what he's doing with Ditto in this match, where he's really able to keep the pressure. That's why if Logan had actually been Arena Trap Dugtrio, this battle's way easier for him, because that Ditto would have been dead on turn 3. So he keeps finding opportunities to get the Ditto in against a boosted Quagsire, but Logan is going to be using his Quagsire, and since his Quagsire has more PP, he can play against his Ditto a little bit better to kind of negate it. He doesn't have to worry about it setting up. He also gets lucky with a couple of flinches at certain points in this battle. But I guess I'll talk a little bit more about why Ditto never runs Choice Band, or why it typically only runs Choice Scarf. For those of you who don't know, since Ditto exactly copies the opponent, that means it also copies its speed. That means if it's Choice Scarfed, it will always be faster than a non-Choice Scarfed opponent, even if that Pokemon is set up to +6 speed. It'll come in, copy the +6 speed, and then we'll also get to benefit from the Choice Scarf. Then that's why, you typically always see that. It's a perfect revenge killer. It's always going to be faster than the thing, can come in and kill it. And it can do that multiple times. I have seen a Leftovers one in League play. I've never this is an example of the weaknesses of Ditto there, because on turn 40, he kind of ran out of useful moves that he needed. He needed to get a refresh on PP. Oh, sorry, turn 41. So he had to sack the Tinkaton just to be able to come in and do that. Now, I don't totally like him going back into Ditto here, because he could have gone into Meowscarada and Flower Tricked and clean KO'd this Quagsire, because it would have crit through the boosts. Or at least threatened it. I don't really think going Ditto here seems like a little bit of desperation. But he gets to copy back all those boosts, so he can try to stall this Quagsire out of waterfalls and body presses, except he hasn't even used body press yet. And he still has plenty of waterfalls to go, but he is running low on recovers. He's down to about half of his recovers. There's the body press. So, yeah, this Quagsire is going to win this 1v1 against this Ditto eventually. Just circling back to Ditto sets, I have seen some people, and I kind of follow the logic here, running Quick Claw Ditto, because even if you don't run a boosting item, it's a speed tie, so it's a 50-50 chance you'll outspeed anyways. And a Quick Claw has a 10% chance to activate before that, so I think it comes out to about a 55% chance you'll move first if you have a Quick Claw. But we see Colossal come back in here, and I think this might be a nice time for Logan to start setting up hazards, but he just goes aggressive, and he goes for the Rock Blast, which is going to do progressively more every time it hits because of the weak armor on Ceruledge. Unluckily, only gets 2 hits, and then follows it up with hitting this Ditto. I believe he only gets 2 hits here? No, he gets 3 hits there. Needed to be loaded dice Colossal. Would have picked up some more KOs there. But at this point in the battle, he's just able to... He's playing with house money with Colossal. He's able to get off another Heat Crash here. 2 KOs? Yeah, 2 KOs for Colossal. Pretty nice. Avalug's going to be able to come in, tank any hits from this Meowscarada. And he's going to fire back with, yeah, the Avalanche, KO it here. Like, the low-tier Pokemon really put in a lot of work for Logan here. Oh, that's a crit. I didn't even realize it was a crit on Bitterblade. Yeah, might have lived that. Wouldn't have KO'd, though. Sacks the Colossal here. I don't know he needed to do that. Maybe he knows the calcs that it wasn't guaranteed to KO a Ceruledge that wasn't at -1 defense, but I don't know, who the fuck knows. Maybe he was just getting greedy and wanted to try to get more KOs with Colossal. That's honestly my guess. Or maybe he thought it was choiced, something like that. But either way, pretty good, like really nice showing from Logan. Connor did pretty well. I think his Ditto tactics, he did well, but I think there's a little bit more room for refinement. But overall, very good. And let's move on to our Marquee Match of the Week.
Marquee Match of the Week. Now we have a theme.
So our Marquee Match of the Week, let's close this. We've got Curtis taking on Zheng. Zheng made some changes to his team this week, so this is the last time we're going to be seeing the sun. But let's see how he does here. So Curtis leads with Iron Treads versus Dragapult. Dodges the Will-O-Wisp there. Pretty lucky, but manages to get up rocks. But I don't think he minds taking the Wisp. The more I'm seeing Iron Treads, the more I'm realizing it's just like a support mon. It's not really meant for offense. He gets outplayed with the... Oh, and also, so... He fooled me the first time I saw this. He fooled me again. I thought maybe Mousehold actually gets Sucker Punch. That's kind of cool. Because he takes the burn here. And then follows it up with Dark Pulse. So that's Zoroark. He got me. I don't know if he got Zheng as well. I probably would have just believed that. So shame on me. Dark Pulse comes out. Not going to do much here. Interesting to see a Max Fizz-Def Brute Bonnet. It's able to still take that in the sun to knock out the, yep, there's the, I like that it's Tom and Jerry. That's fun. Good job, Curtis. I I love the Golduck pick. I think I said it in the draft, especially because he's going against this weather team, able to cancel out the weather. He went with Cloud9 here instead of Swift Swim, which is probably better overall for all the things on Zeng's team that are concerning to face. So I like that here. Good bring against this team. Especially Life Orb, you know how I feel about Life Orb, guys. Glamora is going to come in here. This is going to live the Earth Power. I'm surprised that he didn't go for, like, the hazards there or anything. I guess there's hazard clearing options, but, like, rocks would be kind of nice. But also, he outsped it, and I'm surprised Earth Power was his best thing to hit this with. So I don't know why he went into it there. It seems a little weird. But I guess just weaken it so that way Dragapult could pick it off. Maybe that's the key. Knuckle Stack's going to come in. Zeng's already really slipping behind here. Really needs to do some work. Ooh, Dragon Dance Salamence. It's a little bit unfortunate that he resisted the rock move because he turned steel. I like this this back and forth here we have with the Knuckle Stack versus Salamence. That worked out pretty well. And it's able to just kind of stall out a lot of this Salamence. But then the Cacturn comes in, now this Knuckle Stack is kind of threatened out. Don't really know, I'm surprised he stayed in here. Does he have Body Press? He does have Body Press. Good amount of damage, unfortunately not enough. Knuckle Stack's gonna have to go down. But now this Cacturn is on pretty low HP. So, he gets the KO with Sucker Punch. You gotta watch out for that. He could have tried to play around it with the Will-O-Wisp. I think that would have been a better play for him. Zeng's really throwing all he has at it, but he's really falling behind here. This is obviously a banded Floatzel, that's why he had to switch out, which is unfortunate because he had to switch out into a Pokemon that's going to set up Sun. And Spiky Shield. Okay, I thought he was gonna Rapid Spin into Spiky Shield. Would have been pretty funny. Yeah. So it's not beneficial for Curtis to try to stall out the Sun here, which is kind of what it looked like he was doing. But also, I think oh, that's leftover Storkle. So yeah, the Sun's almost gone here. Yeah, and he has to go for Ice Spinner because he can't afford to go for a Water move because it's not going to KO the Cacturn because Cacturn is likely Water Absorb or Storm Drain, whatever it is. But here's the thing at the end. Here's what a nice guy Curtis is. He played around there at the end, and he did it for the jingle. He was able to get Cacturn in safely, and Sucker Punch, and Faint to Life Orb. So thank you for that. I know this was kind of an erratic telling of this, but this was an erratic match. A lot of stuff going on. I don't know how much Zeng is rethinking what his draft strategy was. I know he made some changes this week, but I'm very curious to see. I want to know if he knows what he knows now, if he would go back and draft entirely differently, or if it was a meta problem. Do you think the meta game that you're facing was the issue, or do you think it was a team structure issue and you went all in on the meme? I'm curious to know. But that wraps up matches for us this week. So, heading back on over to the dock here. Full disclosure, I recorded all this already, and the audio didn't go through. So, stats, okay? We got MVPs. Weirdly enough, a lot of stuff here in the East was tied with 2 KOs. So, Cacturn, with 3 KOs, I think a Leaf Storm and 2 Sucker Punches, comes out on top. Another reason that he's an absolute MVP is because he died to Life Orb, which gives us an opportunity to play everyone's favorite jingle that I'm totally not stalling to pull up here. How many kills did Life Orb get this week? Yeah, got a KO. So 2 KOs for Life Orb over here in the East. Haven't had any in the West yet. I'm conflicted now whether or not it's a good or a bad thing, because I like hearing the jingle, but I'm still against Pokemon dying to Life Orb most. In terms of kill leaders, like I said, nobody had a super big week. Cacturn for this week alone made it onto the kill leaderboard. It's been pretty evenly distributed here for Pokemon in the East. Obviously, Salamence had a really big week 1. Garganacl also, but they've kind of slowed their progression over time. Everyone's using stuff really evenly. So, there's that. Season Death Leaders. Only 3 Pokemon, Excalibur, Charizard, and Goldengo, have come to every match and fainted every match. Season Death Leaders, not always a really telling stat. But, you know, people like to see it, it's interesting. Let's head over and... sorry? Look at some of the changes that happened, because we definitely have some changes. So, Zhang made a bunch of changes. He's down to 0 transactions on the season. So, everyone take note of that. But dropping Torkoal, Pelipper, and Brute Bonnet to pick up Amoonguss, Slowbro, and Low-Kicks. Amoonguss and Slowbro both have Regenerator. This is going to make Zhang extremely hard to KO, and he's not going to lose a lot of turns to having to like recover. All he's got to do is switch. He's got a bad matchup, he switches, gets back a third of his HP. Regenerator's a very good ability. So, great for Amoonguss and Slowbro to be able to do that. The concern that I have with this team, also Low-Kick's good revenge killer, good at just being able to keep up momentum. He's going to be doing a lot of switching. That being said, Lamore is his way to set up hazards, and unfortunately his way to clear hazards too. It's his only hazard clearer on his team. So he's either going to have to very much rely on heavy duty boots, or he's going to have to hope he gets up enough hazards that it annoys his opponent into defogging. Defog is a lot less common than it used to be, so it's not as prevalent of a... Like, I used to say the second best thing to being able to clear hazards is being able to prevent hazards altogether. Things like Magic Bounce and Taunt. Doesn't have a lot of good options for that either, unfortunately. So he's gonna have to be careful. I do think it's gonna be something he's gotta grapple with quite a bit. In terms of if the changes make his team better or worse, I don't know. He obviously gave away a lot of his past Paradox Pokemon, that's fun to say. So Torkoal wasn't doing as much for him in that regard. So he's definitely pivoted to a much more, I don't know, standard looking team, although he does still have Abomasnow Sea Titan, something to look out for. Knackle Stack, it's in both leagues. We haven't really seen too much actually no, it's only in this league, isn't it? Yeah. Haven't seen too much come out of it. So I'm interested to see how that shakes out towards the end of the season. But those are the only changes that Zhang made over here in the East. Interesting that we see Slowbro picked up and Brute Bonnet dropped. I see a similar thing when I record the West one here in a little bit. Schedule for next week. Also, you'll notice these 2 fancy lines that I put in here. I did that in the last recording. So, here's the schedule for next week. Got Miami taking on the Marinis. Big game there. Basically 1 and 2 in the standings. They're only separated by a single game. This could flip it and give Miami a tiebreaker if need be. That would be really big. Texarkana taking on Minnesota. Got to get a couple of those games in just to try to sneak up out of those last 2 places so you have a shot at playoffs. New England versus SLD, very similar. Like, New England wants to maintain their spot up at the top. They're second in the division right now. SLD just needs 1 or 2 more wins to guarantee that they have a shot at the postseason. Alabama versus Oakland, guys, friendly. If you're worried about Logan getting wins, if that is a bad playoff position for you and you want him to be challenged by Tyler, just friendly reminders, just to Tyler, just be like, hey, just you need some help, just, you know, practicing or planning, throw that out there. I don't really think that's like, just anybody, just because I hate to see forfeits really impact stuff, and it feels shitty if we look over here in the standings, if you're here and, like, let's say that Connor pulls off a win and then Logan gets a forfeit win. It's just like, I didn't make up any ground. I did a win and Logan didn't have to do anything. That's annoying. So hopefully we can all come together and just get the rest of these games done. But nobody be a dick. If anybody's being a dick, then I'm gonna be mad about it. But anyways, looking at the standings here, Brett's in a good spot. He still has to face both of these teams going forward, so that could be a big chance for people to swing the standings quite a bit. If both of those teams win, I think they still might even... Oh no, they already faced each other. So they could keep Brett potentially out of that top spot. Means he's got to play to make his way to playoffs. These are the two teams currently at the bottom, which means Papcoon's going to want to try to get one more win this season, just sneak up out of here. Because even if you end up at the 6th spot here, right, that is a potential playoff spot. So let's get it done. Heading back over the schedule, something I wanted to point out. Right here, this is the trade deadline. You have to submit trades before this line, okay? This is the last week for trades. After this line, no more trades, but you can still do 1 week of transactions. Then after this is playoffs, where you're going to have the same roster for 5 weeks. You're not going to play... I guess somebody could theoretically play 5 games. Unlikely to happen. I mean, unlikely. Yeah, I guess because they'd be a 5 or 6 seeded team, and that would be them going to the championship. It could happen. It'll be tough. But hey, let's do it. I'd love to see it. It'd be great. If anybody still has any questions about the playoff scenarios, I know it's a little bit confusing, so let me know. But I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Thanks again to D24 Designs for a bunch of our logos here. You guys heard the Life Orb jingle. Logan wrote that and produced that and sent it over to me so I can steal it semi-regularly. So thank you for that. Thank you for Brett for all the work that he put into the document. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for making this such a good season and listening to this podcast. And I will see you next week. Goodbye.